The forgotten silence. For centuries, the galaxy had spoken of humans only in whispers. Long ago, they had burned bright, spreading across the stars with courage and fire. But then, silence. No ships, no colonies, no voices from Earth. The other species believed humanity was gone forever, erased by wars and mistakes. They called it extinction, and in their pride, they claimed the stars for themselves. The alien councils told stories of humans as if they were myths. Children of alien empires laughed when they heard about the strange species that once defied the galaxy. Soldiers studied human history only to mock it, calling them reckless, short-lived, too fragile to survive the vastness of space. To most, humanity was only a ghost of the past, but deep in the forgotten edges of space where old signals drifted like echoes, something began to move. In a dark, broken sector where no empire dared to travel, an ancient ship woke from its slumber. Its surface was scarred from battles long past. Its hull cracked like the skin of an old warrior. For centuries it had drifted quietly, powered down, unseen. But now, its lights flickered. Engines hummed with life. A single pulse spread into the void, faint but undeniable. It was not a natural wave. It was not the echo of a star. It was a message, old, coded, and human. On a small alien scout vessel, Lieutenant Varric leaned closer to his console. His heart raced as he read the signal. The code was ancient, one he had only seen in dusty archives. Impossible, he thought. His claws tapped nervously on the screen. "Captain," he whispered, this is human." The captain of the scout ship, an older alien with cold eyes, dismissed him at first. "Humans are extinct. This is interference. Ignore it." But the signal repeated. Stronger, clearer. A voice buried in static, broken but real. "This is the UNS Resolute Systems Online, awaiting orders." The bridge fell silent. Every alien officer stared at the screen. The words chilled them because they were not meant for aliens. They were meant for other humans. Far away, the message raced across the void. It reached abandoned satellites, old outposts that should have been lifeless. One by one, they stirred, sending replies in the same forgotten language. It was like the galaxy itself was waking up from a dream. News traveled fast. Within weeks, alien empires began to whisper. The Council of Zira met in secret, their chambers filled with fear. "It cannot be," one elder said, his long tendrils shaking. "Humans destroyed themselves. We saw their worlds burn." "But what if they did not?" another replied. "What if they hid? What if they waited?" No one wanted to believe it. Yet in the shadows of space, ships began vanishing. Patrols did not return. Wreckage was found, alien hulls shattered, their crews missing. Rumors spread that ghosts of humans had returned, taking revenge. The galaxy laughed at first. They said it was impossible. But laughter faded when the evidence grew. Too many fleets lost. Too many signals repeating that same name, Resolute. Meanwhile, on the warship itself, deep inside its steel corridors, human figures moved. They were not fragile, broken survivors. They were soldiers, descendants of those who had refused extinction. Their eyes burned with purpose, their voices steady. For generations, they had lived in silence, hidden away, rebuilding. The galaxy had forgotten them, but they had never forgotten the galaxy. Commander Elias stood at the ship's bridge, staring at the stars. His uniform was old, patched from another era, but his posture was unbroken. "They thought we were gone," he said quietly. His crew turned to him, silent but eager. "They thought extinction would be our end, but it was only our silence." His words carried through the ship like fire. These men and women were the children of survivors, raised on stories of Earth, raised on the promise that one day they would return. And now the time had come. Elias gave the order. The ship's engines roared to full power, shaking off centuries of dust. Weapons that had slept for lifetimes came alive, their barrels glowing faintly in the dark. The Resolute was not just a relic. It was a warning. Beyond its walls, the stars seemed to tremble. For the first time in centuries, humanity's voice echoed across the void. The forgotten silence was broken, and with it came a promise. Humanity was not extinct. Humanity was returning. The galaxy did not yet know it, but an old truth was about to be remembered. Humans were dangerous. Humans were relentless. And now, they were awake again. Whispers across the stars. The signal of the Resolute spread farther than anyone expected. It leapt from derelict satellites to long-abandoned listening, posts bouncing across the void like a ghostly heartbeat. Every empire that monitored deep space caught fragments. Most dismissed it as static. Some tried to bury it, but a few listened. In the grand chamber of the Krill Dominion, nobles gathered around a glowing projection. The voice of a long-dead language filled the room, sharp and strange to their ears. A translator drone repeated the words, "Systems online, awaiting orders." The nobles laughed nervously. A trick someone plays at human myths. But laughter could not erase the unease in their eyes. They remembered the history their ancestors had fought to suppress, the brutal wars against humans centuries ago, battles that scarred entire sectors. Humans had been reckless, yes, but also terrifying. Their ships fought until the last spark of power. Their soldiers refused to surrender, and though the galaxy believed them extinct, the memory of their defiance had never fully died. Soon, whispers turned into reports. A mining convoy near the dead belt vanished without trace. When rescue ships arrived, they found floating wreckage. Alien hulls had been torn apart with precision. The strange part? No known weapon matched the blast patterns, and on one broken shard of metal, painted in faded white letters, was a single word, Earthborn. The Council of Zera met again, their voices hushed with fear. "It cannot be coincidence," one elder said. "They are out there." "But how?" another demanded. "We watched them fall. Their homeworld was bombed into ash." An old scholar with trembling hands whispered the unthinkable. Perhaps extinction was a lie. Across the galaxy, propaganda machines spun furiously. Empires broadcast messages claiming the rumors false, dismissing them as tricks from rival factions. But the citizens were not fools. Stories spread in marketplaces and spaceports carried by smugglers and traders. They spoke of glowing eyes in the dark, of ships that attacked and vanished without a trace, of voices speaking in the human tongue. Children whispered at night, "The humans are back." On the Resolute, Commander Elias studied the reactions. His crew intercepted alien transmissions daily, hearing their panic grow. It was exactly what he wanted. Fear was a weapon, and humans had mastered it. "Let them whisper," Elias said quietly, standing at the center of the bridge. His crew looked to him with burning loyalty. "Every rumor they spread will only make us stronger. They will prepare for ghosts. They will not be ready for us." But there was more to their mission than fear. In hidden colonies scattered across desolate worlds humanity had endured, they were small, secretive, and fiercely united. For generations they trained in silence, studying alien fleets, learning their weaknesses, capturing fragments of technology. They rebuilt themselves not as the humans of old, but as something sharper, harder, born from exile. One such colony, hidden beneath the icy crust of a nameless moon, stirred at the signal of the Resolute. Families gathered in torch-lit halls, listening to the news. Humanity had returned to the stars. Old men wept. Children cheered. Soldiers strapped on weapons that had been polished for this day. "Is it true?" one boy asked his mother, his eyes wide. "Are we really going back?" She bent down, her voice trembling with pride. "Yes, the heavens belong to us too, and we will reclaim them." The galaxy felt the tremors. In the Zycon Republic, an admiral slammed his fist against a table. "If this is real, if humans rise, again our empires are doomed. We must strike first." Others disagreed. Some saw opportunity. A few believed an alliance could be made, that humanity might bring balance to the galaxy's endless wars. But those voices were drowned out by fear. The truth was simple. No empire trusted humans. Not then, not now. Far out on the rim, the Resolute tested its engines in full. The ship groaned like a beast reborn, its guns glowing with lethal fire. Elias watched the stars ahead. His voice was low, but his crew heard every word. They think we are shadows. Let them. Shadows strike fastest when the lights grow dim. And, somewhere in the dark, a signal repeated endlessly, bouncing across the stars like a warning. This is the UNS Resolute. Systems online. Awaiting orders. The whispers grew louder. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not just remembered, humanity was feared. The first strike. The galaxy had grown used to whispers. Rumors could be ignored, but wreckage could not. On the edge of the Rylus sector, an alien patrol fleet drifted through the dark. Their ships were sleek, covered in glowing insignias of power, confident in their dominance. For centuries, they had ruled these lanes without fear. Tonight, that confidence would be broken. The lead ship's sensors flickered. A faint energy reading appeared, pulsing like a heartbeat. The captain frowned. "Identify it," he ordered. "Unclear," his officer replied. "It is old, very old." The crew leaned closer, curious but not afraid. They expected debris, maybe a derelict satellite. But then the signal sharpened, piercing through interference. It was the same voice that had haunted the galaxy for weeks. "This is the UNS Resolute. Systems online. Awaiting orders." Silence filled the bridge, and then, out of the void, a shadow emerged. The human warship appeared without warning, black as night, scarred by ancient battles. The aliens had expected ruins. Instead, they saw weapons glowing to life, barrels turning with deadly purpose. "Impossible," the captain whispered. "Fire!" Their fleet launched the first strike, beams of energy cutting across the void. Explosions rippled as fire met armor. But the Resolute did not fall. The ship roared to life like a beast unchained, returning fire with brutal precision. Alien cruisers shattered under weapons they had never faced before. The Resolute's cannon spat plasma so fierce it tore through shields like paper. One alien vessel tried to flee, engines burning bright, but a single missile from the human ship cut it down in a flash of fire. The aliens screamed across their channels. "It's them! It's the humans!" On the bridge of the Resolute, Commander Elias stood unmoving, his face lit by the glow of battle. Around him, his crew worked with terrifying calm. These were not men and women tasting their first fight. They were children of survivors, trained for this moment all their lives. "Target their command ship," Elias ordered. The Resolute obeyed like a living creature. Its main gun charged, shaking the entire vessel. A brilliant beam of light cut through the void, striking the alien flagship directly. For a brief moment, the stars themselves seemed to blink. When the light faded, the enemy's pride and power were gone, reduced to burning fragments drifting into the dark. The surviving aliens tried to retreat. They sent frantic calls for reinforcements. But before help could arrive, the Resolute vanished, slipping into the shadows of deep space. What remained was silence, and wreckage that told the truth no empire could hide. Within days, news spread like wildfire. Entire fleets had been destroyed by a single human ship. Panic gripped the galaxy. Citizens whispered in fear. Soldiers stared at the stars, wondering if the next shadow would bring humanity's fire. The Council of Zera gathered once more, their voices sharp with terror. "This is war," one elder shouted. "They have returned to conquer us." "No," another argued, his voice trembling. "This is only the beginning. They are testing us, watching us." Every empire rushed to prepare. Shipyards worked without rest. Armies were recalled from distant fronts. But fear remained stronger than steel. The aliens remembered the old wars, the legends of human defiance, and now those legends walked again. Meanwhile, in hidden colonies across forgotten worlds, humanity rejoiced. The Resolute's victory was not just survival, it was a signal. Colonies lit their beacons, long dormant, sending messages into the void. One by one, old warships powered up, their engines screaming with life after centuries of silence. Humanity was no longer waiting. Humanity was marching. On the Resolute, Elias stood before his crew, his voice steady but filled with fire. They thought us extinct. They called us ghosts. Tonight, we reminded them who we are. He paused, letting his words cut through the air like a blade. This was only the first strike. The heavens will remember us again. His crew erupted in cheers, their voices echoing against steel walls. Generations of silence had ended. Humanity had spoken, not with words, but with fire, and in the vast, endless dark, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The Reclamation. The Battle of Rylus Sector was supposed to be a warning. Instead, it became a spark. Across the galaxy, the wreckage of alien fleets floated as proof. Humans had returned. But what no one understood yet was that the Resolute was not alone. In the shadows of forgotten systems, entire colonies stirred. They had been hidden for generations, buried under ice, concealed inside asteroid fields, or living beneath the poisoned skies of dead planets. Each colony carried a single purpose: to endure until the time came to rise. And now, the time had come. On a barren world scarred by endless storms, Commander Elias stood on a rocky cliff, his breath fogging in the icy air. Before him stretched a valley where enormous steel doors lay hidden beneath the ground. His voice echoed through the calm. "Open it." With a rumble that shook the earth, the doors split apart. Light spilled into the storm, and from the depths of the valley, machines older than memory began to rise. Warships, massive, brutal, patched together with both human steel and alien technology. Their hulls were ugly, scarred by centuries of rebuilding, but their engines burned with a fierce glow. These were not relics. They were predators. The people of the colony gathered to watch. Children clutched their parents, eyes wide as the ships broke free of their underground prisons. For generations they had lived in secret. Now they would live in history. An old veteran raised his fist skyward, his voice cracking with pride. "We are no longer hiding. We are reclaiming what is ours." And across hundreds of other hidden colonies, the same scene repeated. Fleets emerged from caves, oceans, and deserts. For the first time in centuries, the heavens filled with human fire. The galaxy panicked. The Zycon Republic launched an emergency broadcast, warning all sectors. The humans are mobilizing. Their colonies are alive. Their fleets are real. Merchants abandoned trade routes. Civilian ships fled from border worlds. Some planets begged for protection, while others quietly prayed they could ally with the returning species before it was too late. But humans did not ask for allies. They took what was theirs. The first reclamation strike came at the world of Varos, once a thriving human colony before alien conquest turned it into a Zycon stronghold. Alien soldiers had renamed it, built fortresses, and forced their banners upon its skies. To them, it was just another world. To humans, it was sacred. The fleet arrived at dawn, dozens of warships piercing the atmosphere like falling stars. Sirens wailed across Varos as alien defenses scrambled. But it was too late. Human dropships fell into the cities, soldiers in armored suits charging through streets once filled with their ancestors' blood. The aliens fought back fiercely, but the humans fought harder. They were not reclaiming just land. They were reclaiming memory. Every street, every stone, every scar of the city carried the weight of history. And the humans unleashed that weight with unstoppable fury. By nightfall, the alien banners were torn down. The human flag rose again, ragged but proud, over the towers of Varos. The galaxy watched in shock as the broadcast spread. A human commander's voice carried across the stars. "Varos is ours again. And this is only the beginning." In the Council of Zera, chaos erupted. Some demanded immediate war, calling for fleets to crush humanity before they grew stronger. Others whispered in fear, remembering how human wars once ended, with galaxies burning, but it was already too late. Humanity's silence had lasted too long, and now every colony they reclaimed lit a fire in the galaxy's heart. On the Resolute, Commander Elias stood before his crew. They had fought at Rylus. They had seen Varos return. Yet he knew this was just the start. His eyes burned as he addressed them. They thought extinction erased us. They thought silence broke us. But every colony we take back is proof. We were never gone. We were waiting. And now, we rise. The crew erupted in cheers, their voices shaking the steel walls. The Resolute turned its bow to the stars, ready for the next battle. Around it, newly awakened fleets formed up, engines burning like a second dawn. The galaxy had believed humans were ghosts. Now it realized the truth. The ghosts had become conquerors. The reclamation had begun. The heavens returned. The galaxy had seen wars before, but nothing like this. World after world shook under the thunder of human return. Every week brought new reports: alien garrisons crushed, banners torn down, colonies reclaimed. From icy moons to desert outposts, humanity's fire spread like a storm that would not stop. To the empires, it was chaos. To humanity, it was justice. The Council of Zera met in emergency session. The great chamber buzzed with fear and anger as alien leaders shouted over one another. "They will devour us all," one cried. "We must unite before they grow unstoppable," another warned. But unity was impossible. Old rivalries poisoned every word. The empires had ruled too long in arrogance, each believing itself supreme. Now they faced an enemy that was not divided, not weakened, not hesitant. Humanity fought as one. And at the center of this rising storm was the Resolute. The warship no longer drifted alone. Around it, dozens of awakened fleets formed an armada unlike any seen in centuries. Their ships bore scars, patched with alien technology and human ingenuity. Some looked crude, others elegant, but all burned with the same relentless fire. Commander Elias stood on the bridge, his eyes on the endless sea of stars. Before him lay the Galactic core, the seat of alien power, untouched by war for centuries. It was here that humanity would speak its loudest truth. "Transmit," Elias ordered. Across every channel, on every frequency, in every tongue, the message spread. Entire worlds stopped to listen. Merchants froze mid-trade, soldiers dropped their weapons, civilians crowded around glowing screens. And then humanity's voice thundered across the galaxy. "This is Commander Elias of the United Nations Space Fleet. For centuries you believed us extinct. For centuries you ruled without fear. But we were never gone, we endured, we watched, and now we reclaim the heavens." The words struck like fire through the void. Alien leaders trembled. Some screamed for immediate retaliation. Others whispered in dread that resistance was already hopeless. Because even as the message spread, the human armada moved. The first target was not a colony, not an outpost, but a fortress world, the heart of the Zycon Republic, a planet armored with fleets and weapons designed to crush rebellions. For centuries it had stood unchallenged. The sky burned when the humans arrived. Alien defense fleets rose in formation, confident that their numbers would overwhelm. But confidence shattered when human ships advanced, not with hesitation but with fury. The Resolute led the charge, its guns blazing, cutting through the enemy like a blade through silk. Human cruisers swarmed, their smaller size turning into an advantage as they slipped between massive alien battleships, firing at weak points with brutal accuracy. The battle was chaos, explosions flashing across the heavens, the void filled with fire and wreckage. Yet through it all, the humans never broke formation. They moved like one living organism, united by generations of silence, bound by vengeance and survival. On the ground, alien soldiers braced for invasion. But when the dropships landed, they saw not fragile survivors but warriors armored in steel. faces hard with determination. The humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for return. Every strike carried the weight of centuries stolen from them. By nightfall, the fortress world fell. Its towers, once draped in alien banners, now bore the flag of Earth once more. Civilians across the galaxy watched the broadcast in awe. Some cried in fear, others whispered in secret admiration, because the truth was undeniable. Humanity was not just back. Humanity was ascendant. On the bridge of the Resolute, Elias stood tall, his uniform scorched, his face lit by the glow of victory. Around him, his crew cheered, but he raised his hand, silencing them. "This is not the end," he said. His voice carried steady and strong, meant not just for his crew, but for the stars beyond. "The heavens belong to all who dare to reach for them. We will not be erased again. We will not be silenced again. We are humanity, and we have returned." His words spread like thunder across the void. Some alien empires fell into despair, others prepared for war. But all of them knew one truth that could no longer be denied. The galaxy had changed forever. Because the silence was over. Because the whispers had become fire. Because humanity had reclaimed the heavens, and this time, they would not let go.